great to have you with us.
Well, it's a joy.
Thank you so much for the inspiration you give to so many. Can you remember back when you wrote the book, The 1 Minute Manager?
It's a few years ago. It's pretty amazing, though. That was 1982, and it still sells tons now. That's when I started to look at my whole spiritual journey. It was so ridiculously successful, I was having trouble taking credit for it.
Well, you're here in Atlanta. What do you think of Atlanta?
Well, I love Atlanta. You know, I've been here a number of times. I wrote a book called The Generosity Factor with Truett Cathy. I wrote a book called The Secret, What Great Leaders Think and Do with Mark Miller, who heads up their training. And so I've been here a lot to Atlanta. I think it's a very special town.
Well, one of the things you're in town talking about is servant leadership.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
One is the servant part. And the elevator speech for that is, it's not about you. And so we got to get leaders to realize that leadership isn't about them and what they get and all. It's about who they serve. The second part is the stewardship relationship. And what leaders got to realize, they don't own anything. Their people are on loan, their budget is on loan, their facilities. What do they do to steward those resources? And then finally, the last is the shepherd aspect of servant leadership, which is every single human being is important. Why don't we try to help everybody win? Because that's really what the opportunity is. We need to do that in schools, we need to do that in businesses, rather than saying, well, it looks like they're not going to make it. Well, come on, everybody's important. What can we do to help them win?
Having read some of the materials, there's a great role model that you look to in basing some of the principles.
Yes, well, when I turned my life over to the Lord, I was in my late 40s, and I went to Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Acts. I want to know what the man did. I'm looking for the red print. And I just started to laugh, because everything I had written about leadership, whether it be the 1 Minute Manager or situational leadership or anything, Jesus did with these 12 inexperienced guys that he hired, you know, and look what they've done. 12 people, what kind of impact they've had on the world coming forward.
You started an organization called Lead Like Jesus. Tell us how people can get involved and what they would learn through that.
Well, we've developed a number of learning materials, including a Lead Like Jesus encounter, where people can really find out what is the heart of leading like Jesus, which is about your character. Are you here to lead? Are you here to serve or be served? And the second part is, what are your beliefs about servant leadership, you know, and what kind of stinking thinking can we get rid of?
Well, you flew in to talk to over 400 human resource managers today in Atlanta. Take us into that meeting and give us 3 things you would love even our viewers to do today.
Well, I think the first big point is for them to look into Jesus, you know, whether they're believers or not believers. He was an incredible human being. Of course, we also feel he was God. And because he's there for us to learn from. The second thing I'd love for them to understand is that he's our teammate. I like to call him our caddy, you know, I mean, because we've ruined golf and life in this country.
What advice would you give to others living out their dreams, given what you've been able to achieve?
Well, I think the hardest thing is for people not to get bought into the fact that their success is what's important, and that's how much money they make, how much recognition they get, and the power and status they have in their position. And if they get hooked by that, then they all need more of those, and they miss significance, which is what are the opposite of accumulating wealth? It's generosity. If you focus on success, you're never going to get to significance. But if you focus on significance, you'll be amazed about what the success will come your way.
Well, you are significant. Thank you for your words, and thank you for your leadership.
Well, good. Good to be with you.